All right, everyone. Hi there. Hello, people in chat. Everyone, how is everyone doing today? Give me just one moment here. Let me see if I can get everything rolling properly. Let's do this. How are levels doing today, people? How is the music? How is the audio level? At least, I guess they're both audio levels, but level for my voice. Music just a little bit. Let's do that then. Thank you very much. Alright, everybody. So, today I was just going to kind of do some things on the stuff from Tactical Masters. I think this music a little bit much for me right now. So I was going to do some stuff on things from Tactical Masters. I might do that in a little bit. I first just kind of wanted to go through, well, I wanted to just kind of talk about the week that I've had. Because I haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! As much as I usually do. I think I've only played like a couple of games this week, whether it was online or in person. I just started at a new school, and I've been there for the past few days. Basically just undergoing professional development stuff and helping to prep our classroom for the incoming students. So I'm going to be working with freshman English and doing special ed with them. So I'm going to be providing support to a lot of students who are just little babies coming into these classes, and I'm really excited for that. So I really can't wait to be in this, in this different role, and yeah, it's something that's really exciting. So I haven't been able to play as much Yu-Gi-Oh! As I normally like, but that's fine when you're doing something that you love, right? So, if you have had anything that you'd like to share from your week, please feel free to throw it in the chat. I would love to celebrate anything that you're doing or any way that you're feeling. So, one of the things that I was thinking about was, with all the kind of diversity in the format, I've been thinking about what I've been trying to play. Hi there! Welcome, welcome! So with all the things that are kind of new in this format, there have been so many decks that I've been trying, and thank you very much for the follow, Tara. And I just haven't been sure what deck I've wanted to play. There's been so much in this format that has been interesting to me, that's been kind of fun to play. I bounce around with different sprite builds. I've tried out Melfi's a bit. Last weekend I played Tri-Brigade, and I don't know about y'all with Tri-Brigade, but I think the Tri-Brigade deck kind of hates me sometimes. Yeah, so the thing is, I don't think Melfi Sprite is as good as the Sprite Frogs build, like not by a long shot, because these cards are, the Melfi cards are just so reactive. They're just cards that, they function like trap cards essentially. And it's just not as powerful as the Frog Engine, but it can provide a lot of disruption on a turn. So for example, when we look at a test hand, like let's see what we can come up with here. So this is an all Melfi hand. This isn't going to do much good for us. This one kind of gets us some places because we can do normal summon Beaver, even though we drew a second Beaver. We summon out a Nimble Beaver. And then we can just go into Gigantic here. The Gigantic effects will detach the Beaver. I did look at the new Galaxy Eye support. I think it's really interesting. There's the There's a level 8 that provides like an additional normal summon of a light monster or something like that. And the new Karibo. I think those are adorable. And it could be interesting. I'm very interested to see where exactly the deck goes. And having a new generic rank 4 that adds a card to your hand, I think is just something that's going to be very useful for a lot of decks, not just Galaxy Eyes. But I'm really glad that the deck is getting support because the deck has so many powerful cards. There's so many things in that deck that are just absolutely zonked, frankly. And the thing is that it just doesn't really have the starters to capitalize on that sometimes. And I just really would love to see Galaxy Eyes. The 2 new Xyz monsters? Yes. You have the list for it? You have it up on EdoPro? Hi, Sorceress. If you have a duck list for it, or if you would like to, you have it on EdoPro? Well, if you would like, if you're comfortable with it, if you'd want to play a game and show it off, I would love that. No pressure though. Absolutely, I want to test it. Let's do it. Let me jump out of this. Let me put together a deck. Let me put together a deck that I know somewhat. Let's see. I mean, I know Melfi Sprite decently well, so I guess I can roll with this. Yeah, if you want to test, I can make a room, and if you want to jump in, I am super down for that. Just let me know though. Don't worry about it. That's what testing's for, right? We're just kind of got all these different theories and stuff, and we're working on it. Absolutely. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to US West Casual, and I will set up a room. And let's see, we're going to put this baby in pre-release. And I'm going to put your username here as, I'll put the first 5 characters of it as your, as the password for it. And I will set that up. I would love to see what this new Galaxy Eye stuff can do, so let's do it. The room is set up, it's in US West Casual, and the password is CHARA, no capitals. Perfect, alright. Well, let's give this a shot. Alright, let me see what I can do. Ooh, this is an interesting hand. Let's do... It's gonna be a little weird, but you know what? That is fine. Special at the blue. Blue effect. Okay, I'm gonna grab the carrot here. This hand's a little bonkers. Let's see. Are we playing any sprites today? Yes, we are playing some sprites today. We're playing some sprites and some Melfies. Let's see. Let's bring out... Yeah, let's just bring out Jet too, because I drew Jet. Oh man. Okay. Let's do Jet. Let's grab Starter. Probably could have grabbed Smashers as well there, but you know what? That's fine. Let's do Gigantic. Don't really need to use that here. Gigantic effects. Penny. And we're going to summon out the... Yes, grab the Wally. And then here we're gonna do... Let's grab Alf here. And then I think what I want to do here is that I'm going to grab blue. Gigantic Sprite always sounds like a kaiju name to me. Definitely someone Godzilla techs in for a fight. Yeah, it's very Gingidra. So then we're gonna do... I really should have put these under Sprite Elf so they wouldn't be targeted, but you know what? That is fine. I'm gonna do this. And we are going to grab our Melfi Playhouse. We're gonna set this. Set this. Set to end phase. And we're gonna use the effect of Binny. Attach itself here. And we won't use the effect there. Alright, let's see how this goes. Photon Thrasher, the classic. Love to see it. Bringing out the Wally. Photon Vanisher. If there's one thing this deck's got, it's always extenders. Let's do Wally here. Wally is going to summon out our Caddy and our Puppy. Alright. What is going to be next? Caddy and Puppy. Starleash Photon Blast Dragon. Is this the... When sexy summon monsters on the field, your opponent cannot target monster you control. Card. Oh, that's going to be a problem, actually. Once her opponent's turn, okay. I'm going to need to negate this. I'm going to send Elf so I destroy it as well. Because I think if I leave that thing on the field, it's going to be very bad news for me. Galaxy Trance, 80,000. Yeah, sure. Each month's attack comes. Wow, this Galaxy does some things, dang. Can a normal session except Photon and Galaxy on that restriction makes sense for it. Oh, let's see, what are we gonna do here? Galaxy Wizard. That's fine, I think. Is this gonna be another one of these things? Oh, this is the new one! All of the light monsters you control gain 500. You can detach from material, take one Photon and Galaxy card, either add to your hand or send to the graveyard. The light monsters special summon. Interesting. Okay. We're gonna do Caddy and Puppy here. And we're gonna have Puppy summon out Kalantosa. And Caddy is going to add us a Hop Ear Squadron. Let's see. Use the effect Kalantosa to pop Photon Dragon. Knowing Galaxy, I wouldn't doubt if there's still some more extension though. Galaxy Zero. Such so many. Can I activate? Man, this deck's got extenders. Holy heck. Let's see. What is this one? Cannot attack or activate spells. Okay. That is fine. Saru. Let's see. Let's, Galaxy Wizard is fine, I think. Excited for a new kitty tail. I know! I'm very excited for the new Mystical Beast monster. I love that archetype. End of main phase. I think I gotta do this here. Yep. Bounce. That happens though. I mean, it's hard to play through like 3 negates for like 3 disruptions for any deck, so I totally feel you on that. The Galaxy Wizard, you still had normal summon, I forgot about that. Galaxy Wizard and then Galaxy card. Interesting. What happens here? Honestly, I know very little about like the Galaxy cards in context because out of all the Yugioh series, I'm very sorry, I've never seen an episode of Zexal, which is probably kind of sacrilege, and I deeply apologize because I've heard it's good. I've just never gotten around to it. Those in the chat who've seen Zexal, please tell me that I am the worst. Galaxy Soldier. Hey, Mugiwara. Good to see ya. Galaxy Soldier pitching Photon. Okay. That's cool. Galaxy Soldier. And Soldier adds another soldier. I'm surprised this thing's still going though. I mean, the deck has gas. Not gonna lie. What is that? Okay. What happens here? End of main. Sure. Let's use Vector Joyous. Bounce you back. Extenders the deck, yeah, seems so. Let's do I see. Alright, let's get rock and roll with this. Let's do Vibrax. Talk. Similar to Gamma. Doesn't really matter here, we'll just do don't really need to spin anything with that. Oh, summon the Fenny. You can just do this. Miss. I need to switch these to attack. Are the sprites fun? Sprite is really fun. Sprite is, I mean, it's a really great deck. It can play through so much disruption. And it's the famous 5300, 100%. But now I have to go second. So this is going to be a little bit more, we'll see. What does this deck? Let's see. Let's try this. Yeah, Sprite is it's surprising for, I really like the way that the deck plays. It is very mid-range, you know, as compared to Tier Elements. It's really like the mid-range deck of this format, and it's definitely not the Wombo combo. But I really like it. I think it's a great deck, and I think it's... Once people stop scythe locking with it, I think it'll be a very healthy deck for the game. But people are still scythe locking with it. No! Oh my god, that's tragic. I want to see what this deck does though, so I'm just gonna toss it back to you because I want to see. No! Oh no! Let's do this for now. Because that first hand, like, I imagine if that's the Photon Thresher. Because I imagine like, had you gone first with that last game, I don't know what you would have set up there. I feel like it would have been something quite destructive though. Okay, we got Thresher out. What happens next? Galaxy Knight? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Galaxy Ice Soul Flare. Throw one photon out here. Soul Flare effects. Let's see, what gets added back here? I think that's fine. Oops, send one. Sending two. Galaxy Trance. Oh, this card again. I think we have to hash that because that's just gonna summon two monsters, right? And the main. Yeah. Separate battle. Let's use effect to seal you. Let's synchro. Boom. And bounce. Although if there's another Photon Thrasher in hand, I suppose you could just summon that during main phase too. Alrighty. That's a pretty good draw. Okay, let's do Beaver. Beaver effect. Let's get another Beaver. Whoop. Jason Roy, thank you so much for the follow. Okay. Let's just get these out here first. Let's do this. And blue effect. Let's add. Doesn't really matter too much here. Can do. Let's see, what are we doing here? I think what I want here is going to be elf. Let's do carrot. And let's grab. Doesn't really matter. We'll grab. Oh, some of you are considering bringing the Niagara? Yeah, Labyrinth is really cool. I'm actually probably going to talk about it in just a couple of minutes here. Yeah, I think the deck is really sick, especially like when they get Lady of the Labyrinth and Darkwing Blast. It's like multi-faker but cool, honestly. I might be a slight bit of an Altergeist hater. Let's see, let's do. Yeah, so we can just do this. Doesn't really matter too much what we summon here. Let's just bring out Wally, just because it's fun. And let's do. Let's do Cat Shark here. Let's do another starter. Whoop. I'm like Altergeist, yeah. Maybe I have to figure this one out. Like Altergeist, yeah. But once it does get rolling, man oh man, it can do some things. Let's get this here. Yeah, I think this should be game. We're gonna do attack. Activate. Yeah, Cat Shark's pretty good. I definitely was kind of in the camp of like, oh, Cat Shark is kind of cope. And then I was like, oh no, Cat Shark comes up. Awesome. Sure, thank you so much for playing though. If you don't mind, feel free to follow me on Twitter, same name @EvaLise, and send me your deck. Like, I would love to mess around with this and like theory craft this with you, because I love getting to work on all sorts of decks. So yeah, Galaxy Eyes, let's put it on the list. Thanks so much for playing. So y'all, for a bit I wanted to talk about some of the stuff from Tactical Masters. So let's talk this new set. So for those who, for sure. So for those who aren't familiar, Tactical Masters is going to be the next deck build pack that they have coming out next week. And kind of the three main archetypes that you're going to see from this set are Labyrinth. And these are just kind of like sample deck lists I've been messing with a bit. Labyrinth, Valence, or they're formerly called Valiance and they changed it to Valence. Boo. Valiance is way better, I think. Way cooler. And the other one, which I only currently have a Sprite build of, is Sprite Runic. So these are some of the Runic cards. So let's start with talking about Runic. So I think all of these three decks, I think have two. I think that Labyrinth and Runic have some rogue potential. Labyrinth as a deck in itself, and Runic being splashed with decks. Valence is maybe with their support, maybe, but it's kind of a rough one. So Runic is a deck whose, the way that the game has made it is that Runic is supposed to be a mill deck. Runic has these modal quick play spells, and this is kind of the main focus of their archetype. So these quick play spells do one of two things. For example, Brilliant Flame can target an opponent's special summon monster, then banish the top 2 cards of their deck. So their milling works by banishing, because like actual milling in this day and age would be kind of silly. Like if Runic's playing against Dragon Link, it's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Mill Snow? Mill Rocket Tracer? Good job. But if you're banishing them, it's of course going to be a bit more impactful. So Brilliant Flame basically works like a Offerings to the Doomed by targeting a special summon monster and destroying it. Point is your search card. Freezing Curse is basically your Imperm or Veiler. What are you gonna do? Stab me? It's true. Golden Droplets is, it banishes a card, then your opponent draws a card, and then you banish the top 4 cards of their deck. I don't really think you should play this card unless you're really going for the mill out thing. The thing with this is that mill might be the inherent deck's win condition, or the way it's being set up, but really I see it more as just these quick play spell cards that are very useful in a lot of spots. And why I decided that putting it with Sprite is interesting is basically just because of the fact that Sprite sometimes can have trouble breaking boards going second if, for say, your Sky Cavalry Centauria gets negated and you're not able to make your Zeus. So this kind of helps with it, because it helps getting rid of some of these threats. So maybe your opponent has a special summon monster. Let's say they have Baron de Fleur on the field, and you need something that's going to bait the Baron first, or it'll just be removed. So if you have Brilliant Flame, this helps you with kind of playing into that board. And then the nice thing about it is, as I mentioned, they are modal. Because if you don't need to use those effects of destruction or negation or destroying a spell or trap, you can just summon a Runic monster from your extra deck to your EMZ. And it just so happens that one of them is Hugin, Wings of the Mr. Rune. So basically, this level 2 monster is able to be an extender for you without using your normal summon. So it kind of works like E-Tally in the deck in a way. And you can afford the extra deck slots, really. A lot of Sprite decks play Pot of Prosperity, so you can afford the extra deck slots, and it kind of gives you more options in some circumstances. And you can also build out a bigger Runic package for this. And the thing about skipping your battle phase after your card resolves, it's not that big of a deal in a deck like this, because every turn you're putting down Sprite Elf and you're just bringing back your Toad. So you're just kind of looping this, so your opponent isn't really going to be able to regain that advantage, just because looping Totally Awesome is so gosh darn powerful. So I think it works quite well for the deck. I might switch out Deep Sea Diva with Nimble Beaver for this reason, if you're kind of going to be playing a longer game with it. But your opponent will kind of see the writing on the wall earlier. So it's a really interesting deck. I haven't tested it enough to know exactly how well I think it stacks up against other variants. Because you're playing less hand traps in this, the thing about Runic is that you can also splash this with cards like Sky Striker cards. I know that Lithium was mixing it with Magical Muskets, which, if anybody's a fan of Lithium, I feel like for the past 5 years, the theme has just been kind of trying to find a way to be like, no, when I said magical muskets was broken, it'll finally come true. And it's just, man, let them, you're just, that cove, the cove is strong with you, man. Wonderful, wonderful creator and such, but just hysterical that it's just continuously like, wait, here's something we can slash with magical muskets. So, it's anytime now. Anytime now. That magical muskets, we're going to be buying out Starfires. Max is going to be on the ban list. It's gonna happen, you know? 100%. And it's gonna go the same way as Broad Bowl and Dryden. So yeah, but Runic is interesting. You could try to play it for the mill strategy. Good luck. You have my blessing, if not my if not my confidence. But yeah, Magical Musk would be the next tier element. Ishizu. Gosh, I hate playing against that deck. Tier Ishizu. A lot of stuff with the Ishizu cards is just rough. Tier Ishizu is rough. Naturia Ishizu is real rough. If they're going first and they get those floodgates going, so rough. Yeah, so that's a little bit of an introduction to Runic. So the next one that we can talk about is Valence. Runic Purary Mixani. I have not really seen the Purary deck much. The final monster that they revealed for it is interesting, being unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, I believe, with a bunch of materials. That's pretty cool. I'm interested to see what exactly that deck does. Sounds kind of terrifying with Runic. So the next one is Valence. Valence is the next Pendulum archetype. So the thing about it that's very cool is, as I've mentioned on previous streams, Valence is it's an archetype that's based around being a tactical RPG. So you can think of this like XCOM, things like that. Into the Breach, if you played that. They basically work by moving your pieces around the board. And you're able to like make these different plays with it. Yeah, so you must be a tactical master. Absolutely. Honestly, this deck is hard to play, so you kind of do. Yeah, no hand traps in this just because it is a pendulum deck. You could run Ash, you could run Ogre and run Isali, which could help you make like Hulk into Beyond the Pendulum easier. But yeah, you can run that package in it. This one's kind of a very aggro build, to make space for Odd Eye Synchron and Magician Souls. But you absolutely can do that. And also for the Mythical Beast engine, because I think this engine is quite powerful in it. So I think this is gonna be the second stream in a row where I say shout out to Triff. He is the person he's a homie. I'll say that. But yeah, so it works very interestingly because your deck revolves around moving these different pieces around to get the effects. The thing is that right now the payoff for it is not quite there, because like the boards that you're setting up are usually like, it's kind of typical pendulum stuff. You could go for the Dagda Scythe play. God, how many times have we seen that? Or you end on like Appaloosa Baron. But the cards that it has are pretty interesting. Like, some of these payoffs are very interesting. Grand Duke, is a card. I know these have like 15 million lines of text, but if this card is special summon, you can target one monster card in your opponent's spell and trap zone and return to the hand and inflict damage equal to the attack, and then it gains attack equal to half the damage inflicted. So Granduke gets big. Homeboy gets big. We were like, absolutely. It is 100% the Cha-Cha Slide archetype. Slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross. But this is an interesting form of disruption going second with Granduke. And Mamonaka is so cool because this has a quick effect with a piece of disruption that I have never seen before. Yeah, Kofium, it needs to go. 100%. So during the main phase, you can target an effect monster in your opponent's main monster zone. Place that opponent's monster face up in their spell and trap zone in that monster's column as a continuous spell. If a card is already in that zone, destroy it, and if it was a monster card, your opponent loses life points equal to its attack. So it's a form of disruption I've never seen. This is a card that if your opponent has, like, let's say they special summon Xiamin off of Emergency Teleport. Mamonaka can move the Xiamin to the spell and trap zone. It's really interesting. It's very funny as well. So the thing with this deck is that you want to be able to make this, but it's kind of hard to make it. I was playing this deck a bit before they got this new spell, which comes out in Darkwing Blast. This card is basically like it's similar to an E-Tele for the deck, because it places a Valence in your spell and trap zone, and then you can banish it to move a Valence. So I'll kind of show you how this goes. I'm honestly not the best with this deck, and I haven't played it in a couple of months. This is a strange hand. So you don't want to draw the field spells really, because you want to be able to search these. But the nice thing about Magician's Souls is that it does let you put something like Hojo in the graveyard for a monster like Celine to bring back later if you have, you know, the requisite spells for it and such. So because I only play one Konig Vissen, we're just gonna activate this here. We're gonna place the Shinra Bansho. I can't believe we drew 3 Baron. That's so weird. And just because we could use some draws here, I'm just gonna send the Konig Vissen. And we drew another Hojo. That ain't great. That's the thing with this deck. It's really hard to make work. Let's see if this is a better hand. Okay, we drew the Senate. We hard drew the Senate switch, but that's okay because we still have some good things we can do here. So I'm playing Curtain Raiser in here because Curtain Raiser just slaps. This card's so good. So you can special summon the Curtain Raiser because you control no monsters. So the Valiants all have an effect that locks you out of certain summoning mechanics, like Shinonome. You can special summon it, but then you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except Valence monsters or monsters from the extra deck. So what I think I want to do here is actually normal summon Shinonome. And you go into Beyond the Pendulum here. And Beyond is going to grab your Kaiden Kendo Spirit. So the martial arts spirits are excellent in this deck because the thing about them is that they are their level their pendulum scale is 9, so they can special summon out something like Hojo. And if you notice with a bunch of the Valence cards, their pendulum scales are all 1s, which, you know, kind of makes it hard to pendulum summon if you just got a bunch of 1s in your deck. So let's do this. It also bounces back, which I'll show you is very useful for this. I think I might want to scale Naski. Scale Naski here. And now let's do some summoning. Summon out Hojo, Curtain Raiser, Shinonome. Lancer here. Shinonome here. All good. Thanks for sending it. And then Beyond the Pendulum has its effect to destroy stuff. We don't really want to do that right now, though. So because Shinonome was special summoned, you can add a Valence spell. So what I think we're going to want to add here is Valence Var. Actually, I might not be able to activate that because I drew the Senate switch. Oh, right. I don't have to do that. So we're going to do... let's do... this. I'm going to grab Shinrabancho. Then we send Konig Vissen over there. The field spells are really interesting because this is how it's sort of simulating this tactical RPG, because if you see in the artwork for Shinra Bancho and Konig Vissen, you have these grids in the bottom right to it. So it's trying to show the Yugioh playing field as a tactical RPG. And you're going to be moving your units here to different zones. So we're going to activate our Senate switch here. And I believe what we're going to do, if this gets moved, let me remember what this does. Yes, we can add a Valence monster. So what we're going to do is we're going to move Shinonome over here. Like I said, this deck is hella difficult to play, so just have some grace with me. Let's see. I think we grab... which one do we want to grab here? Maybe add Marcus or Marquis. Then we can activate Marquis. Because then we can special summon Marquis and we can get another monster out here. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's return this to hand so we can proc the Senate switch again. Now we can do Marquis. Marquis effect, so this allows me to roll a 6-sided die, land on a 6, so let's see, do we hit? Alright, we hit something. So let's add the Viscount to hand. Yeah, honestly, I don't know what's happening. I hardly know what's happening either. It's truly something. Do we have 3? Yeah. So I think what we do here... let's do... It's a Generation of Madness. Pendulum is very strong. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of miss that. I have a bunch of Pendulum cards, but I just look back on old you know, Pepe deck lists and such. I think let's do Oppo here. And let's do this. So now we can do this. Let's see. Control this. Place one face a Valence Pendulum monster. Let's just place Marquis here. And then when you go live on Twitch, there's some King Scarlet is streaming. Oh my god, shout out to King Scarlet. I love that dude. He is truly the best. Absolutely adore that man. Hojo effect. So now Hojo can use its effect to bring out the Mamonaka. And then we can do the effect of Grand Duke using Hojo here. Is this great? No. Could I have done more? Absolutely. Is this deck gonna take some time to learn? Absolutely. But you do have 3 monster negates, and you have Mamonaka's weird effect to shove something back in the spell and trap zone, which is interesting. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how this deck is gonna be. Will it have rogue potential? I don't know. Will it be able to be splashed with other stuff? It kind of has strong restrictions, so I don't know. But that is some of the stuff it can do. It can set up more fearsome boards sometimes, like with Baron, Borload Savage, but it's generally just like kind of... It's generally just kind of like, yeah, I've seen a pendulum deck before. What's happening? Hey, Princess Ash. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, man, I don't know how that's gonna be playing on paper. It's gonna be a wild ass time. So that is Valence. Now, the other deck that I have been looking at quite a bit is Labyrinth. Now, this is a deck list that also uses cards from Darkwing Blast, which is Lady of the Labyrinth. But I'll just go into like a general thing about Labyrinth, because I think this is honestly probably the deck that has the most potential meta relevancy in the future as a more pure strategy. So Labyrinth is a trap deck, as you can probably see from this, but rather than revolving around a lot of floodgates and stuff, like something like Guru, Eldritch, Dark Magician, etc., it revolves around normal traps, which some of these can still be floodgates. Hey, dear barrier. But it has some really interesting lines of play. Labyrinth on Chain is... It kind of whips. I think that deck is really, really cool. And I'm excited to see what more people do with it. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't messed around with Unchained that much. I've just heard like Coder talking about it and such, and some friends sending me some things about it. But if anybody's got a Labs Unchained list, please send it to me. I would love to mess around with that. So basically, it revolves around all these different cards, and they have very interesting effects. So basically, these are your main play starters: Labyrinth Servant Ariana and Ariane. So Ariana is basically your Stratos. When she's normal or special summoned, you can add a Labyrinth card from your deck to your hand. If another monster leaves field by your normal trap effect, you can draw a card, and then you can either set a spell or trap from your hand, or special summon a fiend monster from your hand. So this is really good actually, because you're drawing cards, being able to set spells and traps that you just drew is very useful, so they're not just, rotting in your hand. Kind of gets around the heat soul effect of like the imperms when you draw them and such. So Ariana is your best normal summon in the deck, but Ariane is really interesting because you can send a Ren, if you want to send it to me over Twitter, if you have Twitter, it's at EvaLise on Twitter, or you can send it to me over Discord, EvaLise as well. I'd have to look at my number in Discord, but yeah, please feel free to send that. Or you can just send a link if you have like a dueling book thing here, and I'll be able to save it for later. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Ariane, you can send a normal trap from your hand or that's set on your field to the graveyard, and special summon one level 4 or lower fiend monster from your deck in defense. So, you know what Barrier Statue of the Abyss is? Thank you so much, Emily. I super appreciate it. I forgot my number. So you can summon Barrier Statue of the Abyss if you're playing against an opponent that's like, I play Vernisilf, my dude. I don't got any dark monsters here. What are you doing? Barrier Statue of the Abyss can be very, very funny. But of course, me being somebody who started playing, well, I wasn't playing competitively in the Synchro era, but I was aware of it, and I was aware of the cards. So of course I said, level 4 or lower Fiend monster. Archfiend? Infernity Archfiend? And I was like, you know what? What if I did Infernity Archfiend and then just grab like Infernity Barrier and stuff? But yeah, it's too situational. But man, if you got that off, that would be so sick. Cause honestly, there's a part of me in my brain that's just hardwired to be like, just set Infernity Barrier. That's all you want to do with decks, right? You just want Infernity Barrier to come out. You want Launcher, like. But but it's better to just grab Ariana, much more consistent. So Chandra, you can send, as a quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and discard a card and set a labyrinth, spell, or trap. Double dumps all indeed. So you can set a labyrinth, spell, or trap even on your opponent's turn. If a monster leaves the field by your normal trap's effect, you can add this card back to your hand. So Labyrinth has this really interesting grind game where, like, Chandra effect. You can use Chandra effects, send itself in a card from your hand, and set Welcome Labyrinth, and then you can recur it back on the next turn and just kind of keep this sort of grind going. It's really cool. Yeah, it's Archfiend support, honestly. Labyrinth Archfiend is a card. Archfiend Glitch is another card in this deck that's quite good. So Stovey does basically the same thing with setting, and it can adds up back to your hand. Labyrinth Kuklok allows you to discard itself, and then while you control a Labyrinth monster, you can activate a normal trap the turn it was set. You only play one of this because it's not like direct advantage. But it does come up sometimes where, like, you just set an Archfiend Glitch, you just set a Welcome Labyrinth, and you really want to get the ball rolling on them. So you use them for those purposes. Yeah, Ren, I just got your message on Discord. Thank you so much. Yeah, we all drool over fiends. Oh, we're level 8 fiends, right? Thank you so much. So then your bigger monsters, so it's a mommy deck. I'm just gonna say it. It's a mommy deck. You have Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, or as she's now called, Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. So your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to the activation of your normal trap cards. So if you have Lovely Labyrinth on the field and you flip over Ice Dragon's Prison, your opponent's not negating it with Burrown, they're not using Sprite Elf or something, because they can't respond. And once per turn you can target a normal trap in your graveyard and set it to your field. And if another monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect, you can destroy one card in your opponent's hand or their field, non-targeting. She's very cool. You might want to play her at 2, but you more so want to search her rather than just getting her out. And then the new card from Darkling Glass is Lady of the Labyrinth. So, weakness pinpointed. Yeah, I'm just calling it like it is. But while you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, also cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Great protection. And she's basically multi-faker. If a Labyrinth card effect, except Lady Labyrinth, or a normal trap card was activated this turn, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. When a normal trap card is activated, you can set a normal trap with a different name directly from your deck. That's any normal trap. When a normal trap card is activated, quick effect, set a normal trap with a different name directly from your deck. Whatever the heck you want. Girlfriends can break me more. We love to hear it. Shout out to girlfriends that can break us. So, this card is kind of bonkers. I really like this card. And not just for the artwork. We're keeping it, I'm keeping 100 with y'all. There's a copy of Backjack in here because one of the new cards with Labyrinth is Archfiend Glitch. Absolutely, Jason. Please send it to me. I would love to see that. And also, I'm going to be at Niagara too, so I'm super excited for that. So Archfiend Glitch. If you control a Fiend monster, target a card in the field, destroy it, then you can send one Fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard. And what better card to send than Backjack? Which, if you don't know this one, during your, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, then place them on top of the deck in any order, and then during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal trap, set it to your field, and that card can be activated this turn. Pog, indeed. So, Backjack is a great card to send with this. However, you can also send cards like, what's his name? Alec. You can basically effect Veiler an opponent's monster by using Alec. Or, of course, you can send Farthal to banish a monster your opponent controls until the end phase. This is any fiend that you want to send from your deck. It's a really cool card. I think this... It's, you know, Archfiend Glitch kind of reminds me a bit of Dogmatica Punishment because it's kind of a 1-for-2 card. And really, once this deck gets rolling, it is very difficult to shut it down. The hard part is sometimes getting going. Welcome Labyrinth allows you to special summon a Labyrinth monster from your deck, but locks you into Fiend monsters. And if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap's effect, you can set this card again. Notably, it does not banish when it leaves the field after you set it. So you can keep this thing going. You can just keep summoning Labyrinth monsters, which is pretty powerful. Like I said, this deck is a pretty incredible grind game. In the Unchained build, you can send Doggo and then special the Doggo back with the field spell, and I love it. Holy shit, you can! Whoa, I didn't think about that. That's really sick. Oh my gosh, yeah. I dig that a lot. Hell yeah. Yeah, so welcome Labyrinth. You play 3 Imperm in this just because it's a normal trap and, you know, sometimes you just want a card that you can drop an Imperm down. A couple of Ice Dragon's Prison just because it's one of the most powerful normal trap cards in the game. This can come up pretty big in some matchups. Against like Sprite or against tier elements. These cards are both pretty dang good against them. And these are a couple of the other Labyrinth cards. Fair Welcome Labyrinth is a battle trap, but it does allow you to set a new Labyrinth trap. This card works better with Archfiend because Labyrinth Archfiend can grab this card. And then Labyrinth Barrage can basically like become... You basically flip it in response to another normal trap, and it can become another copy of Dogmatica Punishment, and just like copy the effect. It can become another copy of Ice Dragon's Prison. Thank you so much, Jason. So you play 2 Trap Trick in here just because it gets your plays going, and you also use it for consistency. 3 copies of Dogmatica Punishment because this is my favorite trap card in the game. If you have not seen or do not own the Dogmatica Punishment Prismatic Secret Rares from the Megatins, they are gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I have, like, the reprints of Tri-Brigade Revolt and Dogmatica Punishment from the Megatins, so good. Like, they are gorgeous. Absolutely adore them. And then 2 copies of T-Barrier because this card is unfair, and can be a death sentence against some decks. Your extra deck is not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter too much. But there are some Dogmatica Punishment targets in here because you play Extrav. So you have Garura, the new Super Poly target. You also play Super Poly in this if you want. but this just gets you, this is another card that basically makes Dogmatica Punishment a +1, because you're going to draw another card. And Tis, because it's almost always the best punishment target. Wind Peggy, I love Wind Peggy, helps get around cards that can't be destroyed. Interesting thing about these monsters is that they're level 4 fiends, so you can actually make a fat ass Zeus by overlaying these two into Wave King Caesar, overlaying them into Marksman King Tell, overlaying them into Machinex, and then making a Zeus. You could also make like Gaia Charger or whatever, but this is so funny, come on, it's so good. And then you can potentially, take a monster as material with it. It's a very funny interaction. It doesn't come up all the time because, you're not really focused on that, but it has come up a couple times and it is hysterical. It's so good. And then you display generic Link monsters because sometimes they come up. You can play like Dark comes up on occasion, but yeah. There aren't really like combos necessarily for Labyrinth. I can just show you like a test hand with how exactly this works. This is a hand that doesn't really do a whole lot, and with traps being like a more reactive thing, it's hard to kind of tell with these things. So for example, let's do normal summon Ariana effect. We can summon Lady here, and then we can add a let's add a Welcome Labyrinth here. Divine Arsenal DDDs. That's funny. I know the Trap Trick Collector's Rare is gonna be pretty sick. Also, hey Sun Avalon. And hey, Snarky Queen. So what you could do here is that you could use the effect of Stovey, and you could discard Welcome Labyrinth because you're going to be able to like reset it. And then you can set a Labyrinth. This gives you, so Labyrinth. I don't think I talked about this in the deck, but if you activate a Labyrinth normal trap card, you can special summon a fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. And if you activate a set Welcome Labyrinth, you can have this additional effect, which is destroying a card on the field. So it allows you to get a lot of these destruction effects here. So now you're just gonna set these two, and you can kind of go to your turn. So with Archfiend Glitch, you're going to be able to send a Backjack and destroy a monster on the field. You're going to have D-Barrier, so you can stop your opponent's Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, Ritual or Fusion plays. And then Ariana's going to be able to draw you a card. And then you can set a another trap with Lady of the Labyrinth for kind of follow-up. And then Welcome Labyrinth is going to be able to trigger itself as well. So there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with this deck. I really like it. I'm very interested to see it, and I'm definitely going to be trying to pick up these Labyrinth cards. So yeah, so that's a bit about the stuff from Tactical Masters. It's a cool deck build pack, and just with the playstyle of it, there's so many interesting playstyles that they're trying to do with this set. I really appreciate it. And I think it's going to be, not the most meta impactful set right now, but it could be down the line. And I think Labyrinth is an archetype to watch out for. So, with all that being said, Labby is the reason play the Unchained build, being able to special back not just your main deck Unchained, but also links from the graveyard, just because you activate a trap is so good. Yeah, that sounds so sick. Let's see, sorry, could we get a close-up of the earring? Yeah, so actually I have my Blue Eyes White Dragon earrings on today. I have Red Eyes ones as well, but yeah, I adore these earrings. And I decided to wear them because I'm also wearing an Obelisk the Tormentor shirt. I'm not trying to swear, I'm not trying to like show my boobs. But yeah, it's got Kaiba and it's really cute. So, but yeah, so with that, on the stream, yes, Obelisk. So let me go over to Chrome here because I was going to pull up, let's see. Let me see if my Chrome is working for this. Properties, Chrome. Let me pull up what was... So on to have a little bit of a discussion on the current meta. So let me pull this up real quick here. 12-10 fashion all around. Thank you so much. I try my best to be fashionable. Although I am like a bit of a you know, I also kind of got, you know, that's sort of school teacher fashion, you know. I got a little bit of how do you do fellow kids energy sometimes, and I think that's 100% fine. So let's take so I want to take a look here at this from kind of a little bit of a talk about the meta. Shout out to Septo for putting these up. Septo frequently puts up things like this on his Twitter, so be sure to check him out. He sometimes has some questionable takes, but there is frequently very good graphs and such like this. So let me see. I did not properly format this before. There we go. Let me move this a little bit. Let's get this here. Alright, so here is basically our meta right now. Let me see if I can get this music going again. So, Septo compiled this from, what was it? From a few tops from North America and Latin America, I believe. So here is where we're looking at for the meta as it currently stands. 1 second here. Sprite is not looking as dominant yet. Yeah, it's not, you know, tier 0 just yet. It's, so what we see is that Sprite had over a fourth of the sort of topping of the sort of regional tops. Its next closest competitor was Tier Limit with 7. And then Mathmech, kind of surprising. Branded Eldritch, Flaunderies, Punk, Rika, Sword Soul, and Other. And I'll be able to show Other in a second. So Sprite is definitely seen as the best deck right now. And I would agree with that assessment. I think it is a very consistent deck. It is a very strong deck. I know, yeah, Rika had another top, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. When I played of it, the format right now is actually really fun. When you get to play at least, the sheer quantity of turn-ending floodgates is a huge problem. I completely agree. There are definitely some floodgates that we really should address, or that Konami should address in the ban list. Yeah, because I've had a lot of games where it's like it was going to be a good one, and then a floodgate just gets flipped, and it kind of cuts off the interaction that was going to be. Who would have guessed? Are they calling you out, Max? So the thing with Sprite is that it's very consistent. The ability that this deck has to turbo out Totally Awesome, it's very good at it. And you know, it is when a deck is able to accomplish its main win con so consistently, it's a pretty strong deck. But personally, I don't think it's the highest ceiling deck in the format, because Tier Limit, Sprite is, I don't want to say Sprite is solved, because like it's still new in the format and there are still going to be tons of other builds of it, But I think that the Sprite build with either, with the 3 Swamp Frog, the Dupe Frog, and the Ronin Totem, the Deep Sea Diva or the Nimble Beaver as kind of your normal summons, is the most powerful way to play this deck. It loses to Dark Ruler, but you still are able to play like 12 to 15 hand traps, and you're able to use Sprite Smashers, which, a non-targeting banish is still something, even if you get hit with some like Dark Ruler or Droplet. But Tearlament is the deck that has the highest ceiling in this format, because it's still being explored to such a heavy degree. And I think that I think Pack just had a top with the Punk Tearlament deck. That deck is absolutely bonkers. It's not as consistent as Sprite. By no means am I saying that. But a Punk Tearlament deck's good hands are kind of incredible. I mean, even just going second into a board. You've got, if you've got E-Tally and you've got Havness and you've got Shaylin in hand and you've got Reynohard, when you've got a lot of tier names and you have access to your Punk engine, this deck can be really scary. And it doesn't lose to D-Barrier as hard because you can kind of move it on over into your Synchro plays if you would like to do so, or your Link plays, so you don't have to focus on those fusion summons. The deck can really do some extremely powerful things. Choose to a really glass can, high ceiling, but it's really not all that consistent. I'd say a Punk still has a higher ceiling. Yeah, so I think Punk, if Auroradon, let me tell you, if Auroradon was still in this game, Punk's ceiling would be ridiculous, and it'd be so consistent at doing it as well. Just being able to search more of your Punk monsters off of the Auroradon into Cupid Pitch combo, and it would be an extremely powerful deck in this format. I think it still is quite high ceiling, definitely. I think Tears and Punk are both still quite high ceiling decks. I don't very much like the branded build of the deck, just because it loses to the same things that that the regular tier build does. So, but yeah, I think it is not the most consistent deck in the format, but I think that a deck like Tier Punk or Tier Danger have some really high ceilings that can make them very scary to go up against on a good day for them. Serious thing about Tiers is knowing all the support later this year, it's gonna make them go crazy. Yeah, so Tier with the Ishizu cards is going to be something else. And I've alluded to it quite a bit, but yeah, the Ishizu cards are ridiculously strong, and we're going to be having to deal with them in not too long. It's just still November when we get Magnificent Mavens. When I start playing Witchcrafter, right? Right, because that's definitely the meta threat that we're all going to need to worry about is me on Witchcrafter. Because, I do love Vice Master, though. I think Vice Master is so cute. But yeah, so, moving on here, Mathmech. Mathmech is a powerful rogue deck. I have the deck, I've played the deck a bit. Quite a bit, actually. Can play a lot of hand traps. I would say the biggest problem with Mathmech right now, though, is you have to see Circular. You have to see Circular. And so, you have 3 copies of Circular, you have Sign-Up Mining, you have a lot of ways to get to it. But if you get stopped in your way to getting Circular, your plays are going to be much weaker, because Circular just kind of, it is unquestionably the best card in the deck, and there's really no competition for it. But, to that effect, Mathmech Super Factorial is a hell of a card. if it doesn't get negated, Superfectorial is going to absolutely ruin your day. Yeah, more RNG elements to their gameplay. Yeah, I think it's, you know, it does have a good grind game, so it's, yeah, it's a very strange deck. I haven't really seen a deck that's like it, where it has just so much follow-up. I think also the thing, sorry, we're gonna go back to tier for a second, because we didn't even talk about the traps. The traps are incredible. Tier elements, Soliak, is a great trap card. You know, it also gets your combos going on your opponent's end board or on your opponent's turn. Tier elements Crime, you know, stops Dark Ruler. It really has like all these different tools. Yeah, it really has all these tools that it can use. And similar to the outlet traps, they're not just one and done things. Because of their abilities when they're sent to the graveyard, Crime doesn't have a very good graveyard effect because I think it just recurs a banished tier element. But I think Soliak puts a tier back in your puts a tier in your hand. And I forget what the other trap card is, frankly. Because one's an imperm, one's a book, and then Crime is the counter trap. But yeah, they create some really diverse end boards that I think are pretty dang good. But yeah, the thing I don't enjoy about tier is that one monster can make you go full combo in your opponent's turn. Yeah, Havness is massive RNG. If Havness resolves, sometimes it's like they mill like nothing. I don't know, they mill hand traps and e-tally or whatever. But sometimes they mill much more than that, and it gets very scary very quick. Meta Noise. Meta Noise is the book Moon / Foolish Barrel hybrid graveyard effects and recycling effect. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Yeah, they make boards that have less like inherent outs than Sprite, because Sprite, if you hit them with Dark Ruler or Droplet, usually Dark Ruler because their board is quite wide. If you hit them with Dark Ruler, it's pretty much just like you're having to deal with maybe Smashers and hand traps, but you're kind of good after that. But Dark Ruler against tier is not the end because of their traps and because of cards like Havness. So it's really a deck that just doesn't have like inherent outs a lot of the time. You know, you can have DD Crows in your end, you can have Ghost Spells. Sometimes they're gonna, you know, have too many activations for that. So it gives the Imperm, the graveyard effects to add any tier monster from deck to hand. Thank you. Branded Eldritch. I still hate playing against this deck. It's branded, it's Eldritch. You put it together and you get branded Eldritch. You don't really need your extra deck, and you don't really need your normal summons. So you can get the Boober of Doober out, and you can get Branded Fusion, and you can have your Mirror Jade out. It's a powerful card. Y'all probably know how this goes already. Flaunderies is interesting in this meta because the amount of hand traps is not good for them, but Dimension Shifter is huge against tier elements. I mean, the tier elements can't do anything under Shifter. Sprite can still do some things, they just can't do their Toad plays, which is, you know, not ideal. That's right, Soliak is a continuous trap. Jeez. I forgot about the fact it's continuous. God, tier is some wild stuff, and then they get some of the new cards in Darkwing Blast, like Heartbeats, and Grief. Yeah, there's so many things to it. That's what you get for being that's what you get for being the new Allure archetype, right? Punk. Punk, once again, a lot of draw power in the deck. Puts up some pretty strong end boards. Gizmek Orochi is a hell of a card. And the field spell that they just got is incredible. I mean, if you're resolving 2 punk effects on your turn and 1 on your opponent's turn, congrats, you're drawing 3 cards there. And it's also, you know, just an extra special summon. And it's a soft once return on that special summon. The field spell is great. I very much like that deck. I have all the pieces for it, and I have to decide if that's what I want to be playing. I have some, I got Sprite, I got Melfi, I've got Scareclaw, I've got new, stuff for Tri-Brigade, I got Punk. I have too many decks, and I just don't know. I have Mathmech too. I just have too many decks. I don't know which one I want to play. So other representations, we have Rika had 2 tops, and this is really interesting. Rika, so there was top tier gaming topped with a Sun Avalon Rika list that was very interesting. I think that I don't know what the other top was with, but yeah, new Punk support and Parliaments is bonkers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's super fun to play. Kshatrila Punk, Unicorn plus Teleport. Kshatrila Unicorn plus Teleport is just a ridiculous combo. Man, oh man, that deck is very strong. Yeah, it's extremely cool. Completely agree, Ren. So the interesting thing about Rika is that in some builds they can play a decent amount of hand traps, but their field spell, Konkon, is very interesting because the types of disruptions that Rika makes are things that some decks just have a really tough time playing around because of the fact that they're tributing monsters. It's kind of hard to play around sometimes because your interactions are so varied. The new card, Rika Princess, is very powerful. It's a powerful negate. Rika Serena, the rank 4 Xyz, excellent for being able to get out your Hyperiton or your Teardrop, or Teardrop is the rank 8, I believe. Rika it's a really cool deck. I think you can probably expect a couple more tops with the deck. Maybe when people understand it a bit more, they might get a bit hip to it. But overall, I don't know if it's going to I don't know if decks are really prepared for the type of disruptions that it has sometimes. There's 2 Sword Soul because it's Sword Soul. It's still Sword Soul. It's still, it's still one of the top decks. It's still one of the top decks in the meta. That's just, it's more roguish now, but still, it still sets up some very powerful end boards. Sorry, I'm moving some things around. There we go. Push this here. So it still sets up some pretty powerful end boards, and it does fold to a couple of negations, but it's probably honestly not a bad time to pick it up, because the prices are going to be a bit lower on it. And then for the others were, let me pull this up here. So the others were Brenda Desvia, of course, Dragon Link, because oh my god, this deck will never die. Fucking Trishula just had a top with this deck like a week or 2 ago. Shout out to Trishula because I love him. It's still a good deck somehow. I like Dragon Link though, so it is you know, it's eternal. Dragon Link is eternal. If they finally ban Striker Dragon, then this deck will possibly be dead. But, you know, until then, it's getting the Bisted cards. Beasted, Bisted, Bisted. Cards in Darkwing Blast, which are going to be ridiculously powerful for the deck as well. They help you make Harada King of Atum, which is, as my friend Noah described it, LP at home. We love him. So yeah, you're still going to be seeing Dragon Link. It's not going to be going away anytime soon unless there's a big ban list hit, which I don't think it really needs at this point. Drytron. A lot of people are playing... Drytron is so... no matter, you know... when people are playing Megalith Drytron for a bit, I was like, wow, we're going to have Drytron builds that aren't just going to be, draw the out or fucking lose nerd. And then that just lost out to Vanity's Ruler, Turbo, you know, a more factor, turn skip. So Drytron will do what Drytron does. I miss the mid-range Dragon Link decks. They're really cool. Yeah, I like the mid-range ones as well. I think, honestly, in this meta, you know, you know, against Sprite, Seal's Tidying would still do the job. You know, Seal's Tidying and a couple of hand traps, it'd still do the job against Sprite. You might have a tougher time against, you know, Tier with a good hand, but yeah, I still like Dragon Link. I think there was a recent, like, 40 card mid-range Dragon Link top pretty recently. Yeah, as long as Griffin exists, combo's the name of the game. Yeah, agreed, Ren. But Drytron does have some interesting applications in this meta because of the field spell that they have, the Drytron Fafnir, because it can lower the levels of tier monsters that are summoned, which can be quite disruptive. And, you know, some people are just gonna skip, you know, turn skip. The Exosister kind of dies to a lot of hand traps, but you know, it can play Dimension Shifter, and if they have Magnifica and Latania on the field, you're getting like 3 banishes. You're popping off. Like, it's hard for any deck to really come back from 3 banishes, so Exosister, if it's going first, it does have some applications. Marincess, as y'all might know, Marincess is a deck that I adore, and I'm glad to see that it's still got a top. It has a tougher tier matchup. It does have a decent Sprite matchup because it can play, like, it can play through hand traps. You know, it can mainboard Ghost and Match, which can be very awkward for them. And you're going to have the spell and trap negates, whether it's through Toad or through Argonaut, to be able to negate Sprite Smashers. So you don't, as long as you have your wave in hand, you know, Sprite has a difficult time playing against Argonaut plus wave. Yeah. Weaker with all the graveyard hate going around. Yeah. So yeah, it is definitely hurt by the more DD Crows that are going around in this format. But Sword Soul not being as represented is honestly better for it, because Sword Soul does not give a damn about Marincess. Like, Sword Soul, a decent Sword Soul hand can play through a Marincess board pretty easily. And so not having Sword Soul be as represented is a bit better for Marincess, just because Sword Soul can play through they can just play through a Marincess board without too much trouble. Punk Outlet, so it's a cool deck. You know, it's, you know, what can we splash Eldritch with this time? A funny interaction is you can play 1 copy of Guardian of the Golden Land, and You can synchro Guardian of the Golden Lands with Shadakusai and make Amazing Dragon, which is pretty funny. Or you can you can go and do Synchro 8 with with any of the other outlet straps. And then Synchro Adventure. I think that Pure Punk is more powerful than Synchro Adventure right now. But Synchro Adventure, I mean, normal summon Sangan with adventure stuff is still a pretty good card. So that's kind of where the meta stuff is for the moment. I still find myself unable to decide which deck I'll be playing at Niagara, which deck I'll be even playing at locals over this weekend. I might play Pure Punk. I might play Sprite Melfi. I might play Tri Sprites. You know, it's kind of up in the air. So we'll have to see with it. So the last thing I wanted to talk about for this, while looking at this, while looking at all these different decks in here, is that Rogue and decks that are not Sprite are still viable. We're still seeing decks that are topping that are not just Sprite, and there's still a lot of diversity in this format. There are a couple problem cards and there are bad floodgates, but overall the decks themselves are quite interesting and diverse. I could do Scareclaw as well, yeah. Oh, too many decks, too little time, you know? So I kind of wanted to talk about something I've been thinking about with Rogue decks. So, you know, I was looking at the Sprite deck, because I have all the Sprite cards. I have, you know, I could just play, you know, the most recent topping Sprite list, you know, besides like Prosperity or something. I could just play that, and I could do it at locals, and I could probably do pretty damn well with it. I was thinking about it. I was like, why do I not just want to play this, you know, the best deck? Why not just build tier or something? And there is kind of an appeal to Rogue that we see. And perhaps I'm delving too much into the psyche of a Yu-Gi-Oh player, but part of why I like playing Rogue decks sometimes, I think it's a bit of an ego thing, because I'm like, if I'm winning with this deck that is not considered one of the best ones, or I think is like spicy or something, I know, I feel smart, I feel accomplished, you know. I'm not one of those meta sheep. But you know, and so sometimes for sure, sometimes it's our egos that kind of get in the way of us doing better. It's kind of the egos that get in the way of us doing more and doing better in competitive spaces, because we want to seem, I don't know, smarter or above people. And so we choose decks that might not be. Now, that's not like the only reason why people choose Rogue decks. Like, some people just really like the archetype, people like the playstyle. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true as well. But I often find myself existing in this tension where I want to do better competitively, and I also want to do that on my terms. And on my terms is frequently doing something that other players, quote unquote, wouldn't be doing. But, you know, it's existing in that tension, because part of it for me is, you know, doing well competitively. It makes you feel good, sure, but it's also that I want to be, you know, I want to further show that women can do really well competitively in this game, that they can, and we've seen women top events for years. You know, You know, you can go back to like the late 2010s and stuff with like Jackie and stuff. I think her name is Jackie, topping events, or, you know, now Elise Davis tops all the time. Biggest shout out to her, absolutely adore her. But I always want more of us. I want more of us doing this. I want more queer folks. I want more trans folks like myself. I want more women, more non-binary folks, more people of color, more people who are just, who aren't traditionally seen in these spaces, thriving in these events. Amanda LaPalm. Yeah. Amanda, oh yeah, who does a lot of the art stuff now, yeah? Wants to show women can fly planes with radar control too. Hell yeah, absolutely. We want to show what the, we want to show what people are capable of. And, I think for myself, I think I kind of have to make these decisions where, do I want to play rogue, and do I want to win on these terms that are kind of egotistical in a way, or do I want to show what I can actually do competitively when I'm playing a deck that has this sort of consensus from the community that it's the best. Now there is always time for innovation and such, but it's a tension that that you live in and work with, and it seems that some people feel me on this. I think sometimes we want to seem smart more than we want to win. And then when we get upset when we don't win, we're like, oh, why didn't I win? You know, last weekend I was playing Tri Brigade, you know, with sprite cards in the extra deck, and I'm like, I went like 0-3, and it was a bad day, like reboot on Solemn Judgment, kind of bad, but still, it's like, well, you have access to some of the best cards in the game right now, and you're not playing them in your Tri Brigade deck, which some people are in having success with. And you're playing a deck that was, you know, the best deck a year ago. So I think it's something to kind of reflect on, and something I want to sit with more. I want to prove I'm competitively competent, but have more fun with jank. Yeah, have your cake and eat it too. There is always time for jank. You know, last weekend, my friends Noah and I were playing Crawler Sprite and Melfi Sprite. Not Fuji. Oh, thanks for coming in. Thanks, Fuji. You know, my friend and I were playing Crawler Sprite and Melfi Sprite, and we're like, we realized that the crawlers and the Melfies weren't doing a whole lot of work, and it was the sprites that were doing all the heavy lifting. And so we were like, you know what? Let's just take out the sprites. Let's just take out the sprite stuff, and let's just play crawler versus Melfi. And let me tell you, the jank that was going on, the levels of jank that were going on in this room were off the goddamn charts. We had, my friends found a copy of Ryukushin Clown because he didn't read it properly, and he thought that he could keep triggering it off of like Gigantic and Swight Elf to flip his crawler's face up. It's face up monsters that Ryukushin Clown works on. So, you know, the jank was getting so real, and it was, you know, we eventually came to the conclusion that Crawler Sprite works best with Green Ninja as the summon from deck. But, you know, let the jank flow it. Let Danganronpa execution be a text message. Good lord, yeah. Yeah, a friend of ours had Ryukushin Clown, and after Noah realized that the clown did not do what he thought it did, our friend Torin said, well, I guess we found out who the Ryukushin Clown truly was all along, huh? And Noah sends back, fuck you. I'm very upset about that. Yeah, Virtual World really got power crept to oblivion. Yeah, there's, I mean, last summer, Tri Brigade Zodiac, Virtual World. These are some of the best decks in the room, and power creep just takes its toll, and it takes decks out of their spot. Normal summon Alistair just ain't what it used to be. So I think there's sort of a conscious decision that we have to make when deck building, when playing, is what am I building this deck for? Am I building this for fun? Or am I building this because I want to kick some ass competitively? Those can cross over, of course. You can play a deck that's competitively viable and also a hell of a lot of fun to play. But there is sort of that divide sometimes. It's a tension that you need to sit with if you're a competitive player. But yeah, so that's just kind of what I've been thinking about and just reflecting on. So I'm not sure where exactly I will fall with that, because I still like to inject some more of my personality into a deck, and there's always innovations to be made. But yeah, a Virtual World was actually the first deck that I ever won locals with, so I'm hugely fond of that deck. I really love it, and I love the playstyle, I love the art, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, tier, I've never been big on fusion decks, so it's not really my cup of tea. I think it's an interesting deck, it's not really for me, I guess. Maybe tier punk is something I would like. The Shizu cards are, zonkers powerful. Zonkers. But yeah. So, with that, y'all, it is just about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I think that we are going to be... True. I think we're going to be wrapping it up for this stream. So, y'all, thank you so much for jumping into the stream. I'm so glad to be doing this. If you have any ideas for streams or deck lists you want to send me, or you just want to shoot the shit about Yu-Gi-Oh, you can always hit me up on Discord, Evilise, hashtag 8708. And I'll put that in the chat as well if you want to either these just real quick. 8708. I'm not always the most talkative on Discord, but you can also go to Evilise on Twitter. My DMs are always open, and I am always around. A Discord server, maybe at some point I would maybe if I have a bit more confidence with it, I'd really like that. But yeah, feel free to hit me up. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Emily for the technical support as always, and for welcoming people in the chat. Just being absolutely wonderful. And thank you to Shara for dueling with me earlier with Galaxy and Photon. So with that, y'all, have a wonderful night, a wonderful end of your week, a beautiful weekend, and I hope to see you very, very, very soon.